Hello, it is May 12th, 2021. I'm here with another book haul. Small one again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 books exactly, which is fun because that's the amount of books from my book hauls that I tend to put on my TBR stacks. So that's exciting. But the reason I'm doing another one so quickly is because I had enough to do it. I have a couple of books on haul as well, only 3, but I am trying to get as much unhauled as possible before school ends for the summer so that I can get any books that I'm not keeping around either into the hands of children that want to keep them or into the hands of the school library, which I kind of run. I'm not even technically certified to teach all the way, but that's fun. But I do have 3 books on haul, 15 books to haul. First up, I have an ARC that I won from Goodreads. That is The Second Life of Mireille West by Amanda Skenandor. Because I took French in action in college, I know that is Mireille. C'est Mireille. Elle n'a pas un bras, if we're talking about French in action, Mireille. But this is an arc. It comes out in August. I believe it is a historical fiction. Yep. Yes, it's historical fiction about a woman who gets leprosy in 1920s, and she ends up having to go into exile at like it's a leper home, Carvi leper home. So that's super fun. True story of America's only known leper colony. Only leper. That's kind of interesting. So I did get this. I won this from Goodreads, that's where all of my arcs come from. Yeah, I'm actually kind of excited now. And then I've got my book of the month books. First up, I was able to pick 2 add-ons. So the first add-on I picked was Luster by Raven Leilani. This just says literary fiction, so I'm thinking this was just solely an add-on. This is one that I've read excerpts of, or at least one excerpt of. I believe this is about a young black woman, just kind of trying to make it in life in, I believe, New York City. And she has a lot of really questionable sexual encounters. The parts that I read were very well written, so I am pretty excited about actually reading the whole thing. The author is absolutely gorgeous too. She is pretty. So that's another thing. I guess that's not really a reason to pick up a book, but if you need another reason, there's that one. So there's this one. My other add-on that I picked was from December 2019, and that is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This is like a young adult, I believe, contemporary novel about the first son of the United States, whose mother is like a female president, which is kind of a fun alternate history, and a prince of England, and they like fall in love. Apparently, it is absolutely fucking adorable. I heard that this is actually, it's kind of like escapism fiction, because I think it came out, I mean, obviously it came out while Trump was still in office, but it feels like it was like written for like an alternate history. Obviously, I mean, the main American character in here is like Hispanic, and Hillary Clinton was nowhere near Hispanic, but it's kind of like a fun like what if scenario kind of thing, like an escapist dream. So there's that. And then the book that I picked for May, was, and apologies on the name, Ariadne. I am so fucking. I should have looked that up. But this is a Greek mythology retelling. I am actually skipping my book of the month for June or until we move, because me and Steven are trying to move, so I'm trying to stop getting packages. For both 2 reasons of less stuff to move, and also of just making sure that I get everything before we move. This is like the retelling of her story, Princess of Crete. And Theseus shows up, and it just looked kind of fun. Minotaur, that whole situation. Then I got a couple books from Thrift Books. I got In the Time of Dinosaurs by K.A. Applegate. This is an Animorphs Megamorphs book, so that is very exciting. And then I got a Carl Hiaasen book, which is Lucky You. I read a bunch of Carl Hiaasen's children's books when I was a child, and I've never read any of his adult books, but my mom always used to really want me to read them. And I really enjoyed his children's books, and he's very environmental, but in a way that is not super preachy, which I do like. And then what really broke my, so I did kind of restart the book Wall Shrinkage again for like the fourth fucking time. That's because I went into Goodwill for the first time in months and I was like, uh-oh, book section. I bought like 7 books. So let's go through those. First up, I've got The French Girl by Lexi Elliott. I believe this is a thriller. I don't know exactly what it's about. Okay, 6 university students from Oxford. Sometimes they fuck. There's a French girl next door. The French girl gets murdered. Exciting! That looks kind of fun. Is the author pretty? Yeah, she's okay. Then another thing I picked up at Goodwill was like a special edition of Gone Girl on DVD. I read the book, I never watched the movie, but it came with Amazing Amy Tattletale by Raina and Mary Beth Elliott, PhD. So this is the fake book that the main female character in Gone Girl had written about her as a child. So that's just fun. Then I picked up a book that I actually really always wanted to read as a child. And that apparently upon getting home and showing Steven all of my mistakes, he actually did read in high school because he doesn't read anymore. But when he was in middle school, he read a lot of like series, like he read like the Gone series, the Enemy series, and he also read Lockdown, Escape from Furnace by Alexander Gordon Smith. This is one that always looked kind of fun to me, but I never was able to find anywhere, and so I just never picked it up. And now I found it at Goodwill. It's in perfect condition. So yeah, I'm excited to finally find it. Then I picked up a thriller that is Sweetheart by Chelsea Kane. This is about a female killer, actually. The main character is a man, and then the woman escapes from prison. The woman killer that kidnapped him, tortured him, and then let him go. Now that she's behind bars, Archie is finally piecing his life back together. But then a body of a young woman discovered in Forest Park, and then she escapes from prison. The Gretchen Lowell, the beauty killer. So that looked kind of fun. Serial killer murder situation. Then I got a nonfiction book that always gets recommended in every single relationship or sex-related subreddit for women. And that is Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski. This is about the female orgasm, which is a rough subject to talk about sometime, which it just looked interesting because people, there's a whole orgasm gap situation where oftentimes, sex ends when the man ejaculates. And that does make sense because men have such a long refractory period, a much longer refractory period than women do. Women can just pump them out one after the other. Men have to stop for a while most of the time. And so it's just interesting. This is one that I've seen recommended a ton, and I'm always interested in reading nonfiction, particularly sex-related nonfiction. I think it's a very interesting subgenre, and I like to. I've got a bunch of cheesy teen horror books that they just had a bunch of. I just grabbed them all. I got a Christopher Pike book that is Remember Me Too, The Return. They called her a wanderer. Sherry Cooper's dead, the victim of a murderous attack. I'm not going to read it all. But it is a sequel, but for these, it doesn't really matter all that much. There's our fun little cover in there. I also got The Obsession by Jessie Harris, Friend or Fiend. So this is about a situation. Sometimes love turns sour, and sometimes it turns sinister. Just obsessive teenagers. We've got The Locker by Richie Tankersley Cusick. Did she write something else that I've read? Did this author write them all? Yo! I've already read something by this author. I think it's a woman, despite the name Richie. Is something reaching for help from the grave? This is about a girl whose parents die, and then she gets to a new school, and she has a weird locker. It belonged to Sue Ellen, who mysteriously disappeared. And so she's got a creepy locker. This is exciting. We got Be Mine by Jane McFan. And our little subheading there is Or Else, which is about somebody has a crush on Bethany. Bethany doesn't think about it too much, but this person is obsessive stalker situation. And finally, we've got a book that I either have or like have seen recommended to me 7,000 times on Goodreads, and that is The Fever by Diane Ho. I read The Fun House by her. Our little subtitle here is "When you play with fever, you might get burned." I don't think I have this one, but this is about a girl who she has this mysterious fever, and she's trying to figure out what's going on, and she's feverish. I don't know. And I've got 3 books to on all books that I read last week. First, we've got Boys Are Dogs by Leslie Margolis. This is a childhood book. I reread it last week. It's still very fun. It is just for 10-year-olds. So. Also got Traffic by Ellen Hopkins. This is the sequel to Tricks. I will probably just give this to the girl who took Tricks off the free book stack. As Ellen Hopkins, I have very little patience for her sometimes because I'm just like, the issue bookery is just off the charts. And finally, we've got The Chain by Adrienne McKinty, which is a thriller. This is an arc, but it came out in 2019. Again, I enjoyed it. I just don't need to keep every book I read, so I'm deciding to get rid of it. But yeah, those are the books I both read and am getting rid of. Right now, that is all for today. I will talk to you later, and goodbye.